Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of WagMe TV. We're coming to you live tonight with a quick episode to preview the massive CPI print that's going to be happening tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. As a refresher, the market has really been, waiting in anticipation for this print because we're really looking to see if it gives any insight in what the Fed is going to do next. Are they going to keep raising rates and keep rates higher for longer? Or is inflation coming down to a point where they're comfortable maybe hitting the brakes a little bit? So we're going to give you everything you need to know on a quick preview on the CPI print coming tomorrow. Armada, take it away with a little background on the CPI expectations.
Yeah, so just to start us off, I'll share my screen quickly here. Tomorrow, so Valentine's Day, bright and early, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, we are getting the CPI print. The previous print was 6.5, and the thought is that this one is going to come a little bit lower than that. So we'll see it downtrend to 6.2. And so obviously the market's kind of hanging on this news to try to understand, is it going to be higher or lower than what this forecasted amount would be? And then, of course, is it going to be higher or lower than the previous print that we had? And that's going to make massive impacts and massive waves around the market as a whole, not just Bitcoin. And so something that we're obviously all watching very eagerly there tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. So yeah, that gives a good idea. I mean, the 6.2 figure is pretty interesting because, we're all expecting inflation to slow down at least a little bit, but the question is like, are we going to get a print that's more favorable for risk assets, which would be inflation slowing down even more, maybe something in the fives or something like that the market would really like? Or are we going to get a surprise to the upside where inflation's actually not coming down so much, and that's going to be bearish for risk assets? So the next thing we want to do is kind of take you through the bull and the bear case scenarios, looking at the kind of technical analysis on Bitcoin and the US dollar to see, what can we really expect in either of those situations come tomorrow morning. Garcia, you want to take it away?
Yeah, we'll hop into Bitcoin here to start, and it's funny because it's essentially kind of how Amada alluded to. It's like teetering, right? And so in a lot of different ways, like if you look down here at the RSI, where we're basically directly between, like, in the middle of overbought and oversold. If you look here on where we're at in terms of just price action, we're actually right now actively trying to hold that pre-SBF fallout level as support. So here we had resistance leading up to this kind of huge kind of movement up here just a couple of weeks ago. But then now looking at where we're at, we have to basically try to hold that pre-SBF level as support. So this is kind of like a do or die print, I think, for Bitcoin. If we do see it, have somewhat of a successful print, obviously the immediate target is going to be like 24.2, where we kind of had resistance after that. And then the next one we're going to look at, which I think we'll probably see some heavy resistance up here, is 25.2. That's kind of one of the last remaining heavy resistance until we get up to, that 30, 31 mark, maybe 30 flat. That 25.2, 25.3 in the past has been a serious resistance, and we've been, below that for quite some time now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because we're essentially kind of teetering on the teeter totter to see whether or not we, dip below this support and lose that SBF level again. Or do we say, okay, let's finally confirm this as support. We're good to go. And now we can kind of start playing in this channel a little bit and finding a new, short-term to midterm bottom. So I think that's more so the bullish, the kind of, semi-bullish outlook if we have a good print tomorrow.
It's funny. It's funny to see it just basically perfectly placed from a TA perspective on this news of whether it's going to break down or actually use this as support to go higher. I might start using that, the SBF level. Yeah. I've been calling it the FTX high as support. I love the SBF level, but it is interesting, right? Just recently, I think last week, right before we recorded, we kind of broke below the low of this consolidation period after this rip up, which was really interesting, right? After this SBF high as support, we really don't have much support until right around 18K. So it would be a pretty probably significant drop. I think the only other news that you've been hearing a lot about is the death cross coming on the weekly between the 50 and 200 week moving average. So a lot of pieces kind of aligning right in time for this CPI print to come about. But from a bull case perspective, right, if we close above that topping tail high that Garcia was mentioning, it kind of is negated for this bear case, right? You're probably going to see a price up to at least 25K and then potentially test that and move a little bit higher. So couple different directions you can go depending on the news tomorrow.
And so I guess the key levels to watch on the upside, if we do get, a weaker inflation print, is, that 24 to 25K level, right? But then how about on the bear case side? Let's say we get like a pretty hot inflation print, maybe like 6.4 or 6.5, like barely, like maybe inflation barely even came down at all. What are we kind of looking for there? I know Armada said like 18K. Is there anything else that you see here that could maybe give us a little bit of support in the intermediary?
So Mata brought up a good point of like technically on the chart, like technically TA wise, it's really not until kind of this 18K-ish level down here where we could see some support. But what we've seen before in the past with Bitcoin, since it is humans that are trading Bitcoin, you're going to see is somewhat of a psychological support at 20K, because everyone's kind of saying, okay, is it really going to go below 20K again? Is this really going to happen? Another level that people watch is the 200-day moving average. So that would be at 19.5, 19.6. So that could be another spot where maybe we see a little bit of a support-ish. But if you're going to technically trade the chart, like Mata's right, where it's not really, we don't really have anything baked into the chart until down near 18K. But I think you might see some psychological levels. And if people are watching the 200-day moving average, there could be some more pause here around like 19.6, 19.5, somewhere in there.
Absolutely. No,
yeah, the psychological
that's
levels are funny too, right? Because you just never really know. I mean, if the CPI print's bad, like really bad, people are gonna be scared.
Yeah.
Scared fear really just drives this entire market. So it should be interesting to see.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, we just wanted to come, give you guys a quick preview of what to expect for the CPI print tomorrow, so you can kind of get aligned and understand what's going on bright and early tomorrow morning. If you enjoyed this or found it useful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Make sure you let us know your thoughts on what's going to happen and kind of where the market's going to go from here. But apart from that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next one. WAGME.